Hey everybody, it's Eric Holmgren, your ambassador at large for the Placentia Chamber of Commerce, and today I am with Marcus Bowman with Sci-Fi Networks. How are you doing today, Marcus?
Glad to be
Good,
here. Hey.
good. I'm glad to see you. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved with this project here in beautiful Placentia?
Oh, well, listen, if we want to go all the way back, I'm born and raised in Wisconsin. Then we speed and fast forward to going to school at Cal State Fullerton,
Okay,
staying in the area, and just really looking to work in the community, outreach, development, engagement. And I bounced around doing a few different industries with finance and teaching, but it ultimately led me back into working with the community and into this community relations role with Sci-Fi Networks.
okay. And what did you study over at Cal State Fullerton?
Well, I studied communications,
Okay.
more specifically, argumentation and rhetoric and organizational communication. So
Oh,
a
very
lot of
cool.
arguing over there.
Well, hopefully you have none in your current position, right?
Well, listen, from all the arguing, I became better at solving problems, which led me to this position.
Ah, very good. Okay. Sort of a little jujitsu move there.
Yeah.
Good. Well, good. So tell me a little bit about Fiber City and Sci-Fi Networks.
Okay, so Placentia FiberCity is the project for the city of Placentia where we lay an open fiber optic network through all the public streets in Placentia, bringing you a faster, more effective internet experience. Also, that competition, challenges the pricing, so it works out for the city so that everyone has options for fiber, and it also works out for each individual resident because now they're not stuck with one particular provider or two. They can say, "Hey, we have options. What have you done for me lately? Let's talk price. Let's talk speed."
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. And so I'm not all that technically savvy. What's the difference between fiber and what, I guess, cable or some of the other different things? So what's a benefit of fiber?
Fiber is the fastest form of internet connections that we have right now. It's running through a glass network, so it's basically delivering it at the speed of light. It also delivers symmetrical speed. So a lot of people are used to hearing, hey, we have 200, 300, 500 megabits in terms of download, and then it's slowing when it's going to upload. When we're dealing
Oh,
with fiber, you're dealing with symmetrical. So if we're offering a gig, which is really the kind of buzzword right now, it's 1,000 down and 1,000 up as well. So when people start thinking, hey, it's me at home now with this smart TV and all the apps on that, and my kids on their, Nintendo Switch or the Roku or the whatever you have, Amazon Fire Stick, everything's pulling from the internet now. We have to find ways to speed that up and better disperse it around the household so that everyone's having a better experience. And someone who came from that background of teaching, I think anyone who pushed through the pandemic, who was teaching at home, or
right.
who had a home business experience what it was like when they had too much drag on the internet. So now the whole push is to speed it up.
Okay. So with fiber, it's the fastest current way
Mhm.
of both upload and download
Yep.
speeds. And so with people, if they're going to have that, then at what stage are we at? Here we are, end of February 2023. What stage is the project at where are people able to start accessing it, or is that going to be coming a little later?
It's coming a little bit later. When I say a little bit later, probably within the month. This is Q1 of 2023.
Yep.
So yeah, we should be going live anytime in Placentia, and then each quarter that goes by, looking to turn up and go live in different zones. So
Okay.
yeah, we're right on the cusp. And if you have not signed up, I believe people are able to pre-order the service so that when it goes live, it's nothing more than an email that says, "Hey, your service is live. Would you like us to go forward with the installation?"
Okay. And just like I would imagine cable or some other thing, there'll be something that runs up to the side of your house and there's a little box or there's something, right?
Yeah. So the
Okay.
process right now is something called micro trenching in the public streets. I won't go into it, but there's a lot of machines that operate like a little choo-choo train. One of which is a blade that cuts in the ground between 8 to 10 inches, somewhere between 12 to 16 inches deep. They'll cut that, lay in the conduit that's going to bring the fiber to your home, cover that up, put a nice sealant on it. But each home receives what they call a lateral, which is a bend that goes over to your edge of your property. So each home that we're passing, they get a lateral that ends there. So if you say, hey, you know what, it's been 8 or 9 months, I'm over this particular company, I'd like to sign up for fiber, they can go back to the nearest cabinet or vault, and then from there, blow the fiber to your home and then bring it directly to you. So it's fiber directly to the home.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Um, And then I'm sure with that process, there's fees or installation or all the usual things and monthly service fees, just like you'd have with any other internet provider,
I'll say yes and no. The great thing is there's a separation. Sci-Fi Networks is actually the builder of the project, right? So we're not actually providing the ultimate internet service to you.
right? Ah,
So
okay.
our job is to make sure that it's trenched and that every home or business on a public street has the capabilities to be installed with fiber. Once that's there, a resident can say, hey, I want to switch over. Who's the internet service provider? We provide them with that information right now for Placentia. I believe it's Gigabit Now.
Okay.
And from that, Gigabit Now takes over and brings the service to your home. I don't want to I said to make sure there's a clear. I don't want to represent Gigabit Now too much, but
Sure.
they're the ones who handle, the pricing on their end, the speed, so on and so forth. But I can tell you that they are not charging too much as far as the equipment or anything like that. I believe it's free, so I'd look more into it, find
Okay.
as much as you can. Yeah,
Okay. That sounds good. I mean, and it sounds like your background in communication is important because we've got all these different layers and different entities that the consumer has to deal with on getting this product.
yeah.
And you've got to work with the city and various and sundry other agencies and everything else. So obviously, you're the perfect person for this, right?
That's what it said on my resume
Yeah.
at the top.
So tell me a little bit about your job actually with Sci-Fi Networks. Then.
Gotcha. So I do community relations for Sci-Fi Networks, which is a lot of different things. I am the liaison between the city and the residents as far as what's happening with the project, our business, and the residents as far as what's happening with the projects and the residents and all the different stakeholders. So, in a sense, I represent for the business owners and the residents out there, their input, their perspective going back to the project. And from the project, I also represent the informational conduit to make sure that gets back out to the public. So as we're progressing street by street, block by block, I'm making sure people are informed about the project. And if there's any questions, that I get answers back to them. If there's any input that helps us build better going forward, that I bring that also back to the table and say, hey, these are the aches, these are the pains, these are concerns, these are the compliments that's going to help us do better, help us do better all the way to the end of the project.
Now, are you working just specifically with Placentia, or are there other cities across Southern California?
Uh, yeah, so I do community relations nationwide, so for
Oh, wow.
Sci-Fi Network. So we do have several cities in Southern California, but we reach up to Northern California. We're in Arizona, we're in the Midwest now, all the way to the East Coast. So there's at least a dozen cities that are up and running right about now.
Okay. And as you know, with our chamber chats, we're usually talking to people about a business challenge that they have. So for you, having to do community service all across the nation, it sounds like, what's your business challenge?
A great business challenge for something in a larger kind of company I work in, but also dialed down to a small business entrepreneur is resolutions. Because I deal with that a lot of times. People will call in or the email or a phone call where they'll have a problem. My style of communication really is to button it up in person. Anytime I'm training someone or working with someone, I said, hey, even if it's an email or a phone call, if you want to resolve this quickly, take in as much information as possible. Yes, make some phone calls, handle it, but in the end, strive as far as you can to get in front of that person, to speak to them, to shake their hand and say, hey, what is the issue? Let them explain it to you, right? Come up with whatever resolution it's going to be, and then
Right.
revisit them again. Because once you do that in person, to me, that's the ultimate button up, meaning that you've made that contact. They're excited to hear that you've been in, at least acknowledge their issue, that you've gone beyond just, hey, over the phone or an email, you've gone in person and said, talk to me, lay it out there to me. Because what happens when you meet and speak with someone in person, you get to resolve, hey, that specific issue. But then you learn a lot of other things. I mean, I've been talking to residents in Placentia. I've learned about what is it, a dump heap or something like that, way off in the distance that looks like in the mountains. I've learned about what this city looked like 30 years ago, how much easier the access was, the developments and the changes in the city that help me doing community relations bring back to the company and say, hey, some of the aches and pains aren't just because there's a trench line in the ground. A lot of it may have to do with, hey, this resident has been there 30 years. They've never seen this amount of traffic coming through. Hey, they're
Right.
not used to this particular point of noise. They're not they weren't expecting this change to take place. So buttoning something up in person for a specific problem also allows me to communicate and gain insight about the entire city and the residents that help me just do a great job in terms of community relations.
Well, plus, I would imagine that's more empathic than
Mhm.
just some rather impersonal type of email or even a telephone call.
Yeah.
Obviously, getting to talk with somebody, I think they really understand that you care about them or you care about their concerns, and it's more genuine, I would say. So your issue is we just need to clone more of you.
Yeah, well, you know what? And that becomes the other challenge, which is if you have a method that works well, it's how do you multiply it? How do you expand it? How do you cover a lot of ground? And of course, I can't be in two or three different places at the same time. So the byproduct of that is prioritizing, right? When do you meet someone in person? When do you go to the chamber mixer? When do you visit this and do that? And you learn through time, you gain a balance towards it all. But the key word you said is empathy, right? Being
Right.
empathic, which no matter what channel of communication you're using, whether it be social media, phone, or email, that you're doing your best to translate the importance of their contact to you and then set an expectation that you can reach in terms of getting back to them with either an answer or a resolution or whatever it be.
Okay. Well, excellent. That's wonderful advice. And short of us all being able to clone ourselves, I guess trying to prioritize our time is a never ending challenge there for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
So, well, good. Well, before we wrap things up, is there anything else you'd like to share with our friends out in the Placentia community?
No, well, I'd just like to say I thank you all for opening your doors and your streets to our project. We've been here for quite some time. We look forward to wrapping up the work pretty soon and then just dialing in and connecting you to the fiber service. So if you have not gone to Placentia Fiber City, definitely look into that. Google, go onto our site, find out where we are on the project, and hopefully you can pre-sign up. And yeah, we'll get the fiber to your door pretty soon.
Cool. Marcus, great to chat with you again.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Until our next episode, be well.